Hey, welcome back to another Scope Creepers podcast. I have made it. I am in my new apartment. Just off of screen over there is a giant pile of mess, and there's a beautiful pile of mess back there that I have to get to. And it's going well. I'm starting to get settled in here. I'm sorry about the camera quality. This is my webcam. I do not quite have my camera set up, but I will shortly here so that the quality can go back up to the normal Aramis quality. Today on Scope Creepers, I am talking to the developer who made a great little incremental game called Lyca. Lyca. I liked Lyca. Wow, that's a really bad pun. I'm so sorry. I was playing it this morning. It is very chill, very relaxing. The music is great. And there's these really fun moments where you just really get hooked and play it. I'm talking to Shaun today, the developer from this, and we also talk a lot about Hear the Bell Toll and learn about kind of making a roguelike versus making an incremental game, talking about being a full-time game developer. And if you're familiar with me and my goal right now, my goal as a developer is to release a game about feeding a black hole in November here, get a game in the February Next Fest, and get another game in the June Next Fest. And Shaun is doing the same sort of thing. So it's really fun to kind of see me exploring, meeting Shaun for the first time. I'm talking about his career and his the changes he's making and the things he's doing to become a profitable business, and seeing how much that lines up with me. The first 10, 20 minutes of the podcast, like always, are just us getting to know each other a little bit and kind of just chit-chatting about Lyca and the things he's learned. And all of a sudden, you can see this moment where we really kind of click and get on the same wavelength. And the rest of the podcast is absolutely fabulous, just kind of exploring those spaces, seeing kind of where his brain is at versus where my brain is at, and exploring all of those things. Thank you so much for Shaun for being on the podcast today. I hope you enjoyed the conversation, and let me know if you have any ideas or comments or people you want to see down in the comments below. Without further ado, enjoy my conversation with Shaun. I am also so sorry. I'm just watching back the recording, and I completely bungled the audio, and it's not using this lovely expensive mic. It is, in fact, it defaulted to this crappy webcam microphone, so it sounds echoey. I'm so sorry. I hope you can. I don't talk too much. I talk a decent amount, but I really do let Shaun talk a lot here, so his mic sounds way better than mine. I hope it's okay. I'm gonna try to do some audio magic, and if I can't, I'm so sorry, but it is what it is. The next podcast, I will make sure that this is the recording mic. So thank you for being patient, and we'll dive into the podcast. So where I wanted to start is that you made Lyca, which has had a lot of success so far. I think we were, over 600 reviews at this point or something like that? Yeah, I think so. Which is impressive. Congratulations. That's an amazing success.
Thank you.
I was playing it before this podcast here, and it's interesting making a game about feeding a black hole, because in that game we're kind of trying to give you this really big power fantasy, and so the upgrades are like really big and chunky. But Lyca is this it's much more relaxing and casual of a playthrough so far, and I found it being so much more just kind of casual and satisfying, as opposed to we're trying to go for this kind of really high big dopamine spikes. And this is more like a slow kind of chill burn, which I really, really enjoyed. Can you, where did the idea come from? Where did the idea for Lyca come from, and kind of explain that to me?
Oh man. So of course the biggest inspiration for Lyca is Nodebuster, right?
Yeah.
I played Nodebuster last year, I want to say in November, and that was the first incremental game that I played. And then I want to say I was struggling with getting games off the ground at that point, because I'd had a pretty difficult 2024 with a bunch of canceled games and scrapped prototypes and stuff like that. And then I was looking for something that I could release in a short amount of time. And yeah, when I played Nodebuster, that immediately clicked. I was like, okay, this seems like something that I can make in 4 or 5 months, which is when which is how much savings I had at the time. I was like, if I have to survive being an indie developer, I have to release a game in like 5 months.
Yeah.
And that just seemed like, okay, if I can make something of this size and scope and pull it off with this kind of a quality, then that seems doable. So I immediately kind of was like, okay, what can I do that fits this theme? And then at the same time, I was also kind of prototyping this 2D like grass shader and stuff like that, just for fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, when I was taking a shower, I was just like, I'm just gonna use that. I'm just gonna make like a little sprite of a dog running through the grass and turn that into an incremental game. And so it was so quick for me to come up with that concept that I didn't really like test it, or I didn't really come up with a bunch of different ideas and then choose the best possible theme for the game. I was just like, okay, I need to just select a theme, go for it, and make the game because I don't have any time.
Yeah, you came into it from, I have a goal, I need money, I need to fund myself, I have literally like that hard deadline of I have this much time. What do I have? Literally, you're like, oh, I have the shader, cool, and it looks really cool, and it works really well in the game. And so you kind of just slapped. I love that. I love that, just slapping it together and being like, let's see what we can do. At what point did you realize it was going to be more? So I even think you like marketed and kind of positioned it as much more of a relaxing experience. At what point did you kind of realize that was going to be the vibes or the theme of the game?
So I planned on it being like a relaxing, kind of cozy, unwinding experience from the start.
Yeah.
Because I think that's kind of how I felt while playing like the few incremental games that I tried, because they are pretty I'm not sure what's the right way of saying this, but they're quite simple in that you don't have to really like there isn't much difficulty there. It's really smooth. You can make the choices that you feel like making, and you generally are not punished for them.
Yeah.
So I think I wanted it to be the kind of game that anyone who's come back from like a long hard day of work can just sit down, like get like a cup of coffee or whatever drink they like, and just fire up the game and just chill for a couple of hours. So
it was a nice game to play in the morning. Yeah. I literally had my coffee this morning and I started playing. I was like, this is a very nice time of day to be playing this game. It was a very the music is great, and the atmosphere. It's interesting because I agree with the incremental space being that kind of like not punishing game, and like even looking at Node Buster, right? Like comparing it to your game, I wouldn't say that from the outside in, Node Buster doesn't seem all of that inspiring for what you built with Lyca, because I think the atmosphere of your game seems so much more calming and relaxing versus like Node Buster being this it seems much more manic in like the energy in a way, and so it's interesting that, but I can see now that you mention it, I can see some of the similarities between the two.
Right. Yeah, I think the similarities are mainly the structure of the game and the core mechanic, where I was like, I need a game that just relies on one very simple mechanic that is very easy for me to make. And so it's just you basically move this little dog around, and that's the whole mechanic of the game. And then you just unlock like an upgrade tree, which is quite similar to the Node Buster upgrade tree, where you get like different upgrades for the dog, and then you unlock different abilities and like an idle mode and stuff like that. So
it's really interesting with these incremental games is, I mean, you have like a little bit of tutorial at the top that just says like, here's the controls, move around and do stuff. But like, it took me a little bit of time to realize that like, if I got to the crosshairs, I could get the bigger blooms. But like, eventually I figured that out, and eventually like I figured out, oh, I have to walk back through my grass to make that blue stuff, because it was spawning randomly. I'm like, oh, is that random? Okay, interesting. And I was like trying to figure out how to do it, and then it clicked in like these aren't complicated things, and you could certainly have a tutorial pop up that explains all that stuff. Why don't you? I have my ideas why you don't, but like why didn't you choose to tutorialize more of the game?
Um, so I think the easy answer is that I'm not very good at it. I think the main issue was that I came up with this like very weird mechanic where you have to like stand on a patch of ground to spawn grass, and then you have to run back through the grass to like activate it. So it's not very intuitive, honestly. So uh, and I didn't really realize that until I saw people like playing the game. Like saw people
It took me
like
a
and
while to figure
streamers
out that I
playing
had
the
to run
game.
back through the grass. For a while, I was like,
Yeah,
"This can't be the whole game." I was like, "This can't be it," and
yeah.
I'm not getting any currencies and stuff. But when I figured it out, I was like, oh, "Okay, cool. This is like really." I was like, "This is now I'm hooked in."
Right. Yeah, I think so. The way I went about developing the game was like I kind of start making the game with a trailer in mind. So I want to show off what the game is going to look like mid game and late game, for
Yeah,
example, right?
yeah,
So I started off with that kind of a build where you could already like do a bunch of crazy stuff in the game and
yeah,
spawn a lot of grass and a lot of like flowers, resources, butterflies, things like that. And then uh, because I started there, scaling it back down to the like the bare minimum where the player starts at became kind of a challenge.
yeah.
So
What was hard
so I
about
didn't
that? What was the
yeah.
challenge?
No, I mean, I think the challenge was mainly that I didn't realize that if I scale down this mechanic of like spawning grass and then running back through the grass on a very like early stage of the game, it's not very intuitive and it looks pretty weird, like it's kind of strange.
Yeah,
So, because if you look at the game running in like late game, it looks pretty like it doesn't look weird or anything. It looks like pretty intuitive, like
like
what's
there's
going
like a
on.
fantasy here of this dog running freely through a meadow. It's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah,
this quintessential fantasy on top of like this giving nature back and creating this kind of beautiful scape for you to then like go run through.
yeah.
And you can see that in the trailer, which is really cool and I think very eye catching. But I agree, you pull back in order to build up to that point. You have to start somewhere, and so it's interesting. How did you choose where you started? Because you can go even further back. Like you could make the dog runs even slower. You could make it have even smaller patches of grass. You could like how far back did you try scaling it before you're like, okay, this is too slow? Where did you find that balance of like where's that perfect kind of starting point?
So I think I did scale back a bit further than what it is right now.
Yeah.
And then uh, like right at the beginning, I was the only one who was playtesting the game, so I kind of just made a judgment call
Like, I
based
don't
on
like
what
this. It's
I
too
think
slow.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, is this going to be too slow? Am I getting bored while playing the game over and over again? And
Yeah.
I was, so I kind of just increased the starting like strengths and starting stats a little
Yeah.
bit,
Yeah.
just to make sure that when the player starts the game, like right at the beginning of the game, they are not immediately like bored, because the first 5 minutes or like 10 minutes of the game are so important in like retaining the player because people bounce off so quick.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I had to make sure that the game is at least fun from the very beginning. um, I don't think I did like a perfect job at it because again, it's not very intuitive. For the next incremental games that I make, I'll definitely make sure that the mechanics are very straightforward and simple to understand,
Yeah.
from the get go. But for Lyca, I was just, I think with the tutorial as well, I kind of try to make it as minimal and simple as possible.
Yep.
Most incremental games don't even have a tutorial.
Yeah.
They
We don't
just
have
kind
one
of
for a
fire
game
it
about
up.
feeding a black hole.
Yeah, yeah. I initially wanted to do that, but then I realized that it's not very intuitive. I need to at least have some kind of text
Yeah.
explaining what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did like a bare minimum.
Yeah, and I like it. I think part of the fun of these games is they are so simple that you can have this. Oh, what is this? Okay, how do I what like? I think that one of the big moments that really grabbed me was my first sunflower, and then I'm like, okay, what does a sunflower do? And then I like it spawned. I was like, oh, cool. Now what happens? And I like walked around it for a while, and then I left, and then something spawned in it, and I came back, and like okay, I see,
Right.
and like there's this really nice. You see something, you ask a question, and you go play the game to get the answer, and they're also simple that you can kind of just like basically test it out. Okay, I'm getting a bigger range. Okay, I wonder if I get it big enough if I can get two of those things to get. Oh, it turns out I can get, I can pop two of the little crosshairs at once, and like that feels really good, and they really like. I agree. The first 5 minutes were a little hard for me to kind of figure out what I needed to do, but once I figured it out, there is this really satisfying part where you kind of just build your own little like, big piece of yard, and then you just walk back. Like I build it, and then I go like I just kind of printer back and forth, and then I was doing that for a while, and the sunflowers come in, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, now I want to like my pattern's all weird because now I'm going to all the different sunflowers and stuff like that, and very all of a sudden I found it very addicting as far as the gameplay loop goes, which is really fun.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good to hear. Yeah, I think I did try to introduce those like certain upgrades, like I spaced them out. So for example, the different flowers are some of them, and then you get like a pulse and like seed bombs and things like that like slowly you unlock, which kind of slightly change the way that you play. So like you said, like at the beginning you're kind of just making a patch of grass and running through it, and then you start chasing these flowers that come up, and then you start chasing those seeds and then the butterflies. So you're chasing different things, like I mean, you play as a dog in the game, so I wanted to make it about like chasing different
interesting adding in the little points, because like when you're a dog's not going to run back and forth in this printer fashion through a meadow. They're going to see a shiny object and go chase after. I like the word chasing because you're like, oh, look at that, like let me go over there and get the thing. Like it is a very you kind of trick the player into playing like how a dog would play, which is really cool.
Honestly, that was not super intentional. It kind of just came as a byproduct.
You can say it's intentional. We can call it. No. I thought about this from the beginning.
Right.
Very cool. So as you look back at making the game, what were some of the big challenges you faced as you made it? Because you were in such a tight timeline. What were some of the challenges that you had to face during the development process?
So when it comes to the actual development itself, I think optimization was my biggest enemy because of the grass shader. Honestly, I think the grass shader was very poorly optimized and poorly written by me. But then, it caused a lot of issues like at the launch because I got a bunch of negative reviews and like people complaining about it and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then I tried to put in like a bunch of fixes that slowly improved it, and then eventually I had the shader like pretty much reworked with the help of another developer who helped me on it. So
and did that help performance?
Oh yeah. No, I think the performance is a lot better now than it was at launch. So
that's good.
And it also slowly improved the review scores after that.
There you go.
But then other than that, I think the issues I had were like just sticking to my development timeline. I think that's something that a lot of people like struggle with, but the pressure of knowing that I have a hard deadline, and if I cross it, I'm gonna be broke. I think having that helped a lot with sticking to the timeline.
It was. It's kind of your back was against the wall, and now it's time to make something that can get released.
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you join the February Next Fest? Because it looks like it released in April, and so were you part of the February Next Fest?
Yeah, I was.
Nice. How'd that go for you?
It went pretty well. So when I was entering the next fest, I think I had something like, let me just check. Um, yeah, I had like 4,900 wish lists or something like that going into the next fest, and the next fest itself gave me like 2,600 wish lists.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was pretty much what I expected from the next fest.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let's step backwards. So when did you release the Steam page and the demo?
Uh, the Steam page, I think, was released like early January, like first week of January. And then
And when did you start working on the game? Because if we go 5 months back from April, is that like, did you start working like in December?
Yeah. I started working like first or second week of December.
Okay.
And then I put up the Steam page first week of January. And then the demo was pretty much ready, I want to say like second week of January. So that's when I started reaching out to content creators.
Yeah.
And then I made the demo public. I think it was like end of January, like I think Jan 31st or something like that. So
Did you get some coverage for the game? Because I think going into Nexus with 5,000 wish lists is you probably my assumption is you probably did, right?
yeah. So I had a few YouTubers cover the game before the next fest, and then there was also the Steam Idle Fest like right before the next fest.
There you go.
So yeah, so that honestly it didn't help as much as I thought it would, but I think it gave a little bit of a boost in just my like daily wishlist ads.
Yeah. It
So,
feels
yeah.
like Steam is kind of this like every little like inch up you can get is actually meaningful, even if it is 5, 10, 15 wish lists here and there. But like it is this game of like exponentially getting, because like as I've been working with Thornity, he's kind of pointing out that like there's these like inflection points where like if you can get on these different lists and stuff with your game, all of a sudden your sales and your wish list can just skyrocket through the roof. And those are like getting to 7,000 or 10,000 wish lists and stuff like that. All of a sudden those like edges can really get you to kind of this next level. So even that, you said it's small, but it's still impactful to like get yourself, just a little bit further, right?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you
for sure.
Idle Fest and then Next Fest, that's like end of February, right? And so what were you doing between like launching the demo and then the Next Fest? Was it like refining the demo further and further? Was it full game work? Like where were you spending your time during kind of that block of time between launching the demo and the Next Fest?
Oh man. So there was a lot going on at the time. So I was actually working on another game on contract. Like I was working for a publisher as a
Okay.
as a contract dev.
Sure.
I'm not sure if I can tell you which game it is, but yeah, I was working on that basically full time. Or almost full time, and then I was working on Lyca kind of part time
Yeah.
during those 4 months. I think I was only working on Lyca full time for like the last month
Okay.
of development.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot of time was going in that, and then as far as Lyca goes, I was kind of just refining and polishing the demo and
Yeah.
adding certain features that people were asking for, like save functionality and stuff like that. Controller, like better controller support, things like that. And then after Next Fest was just expanding the game a bit to the full release.
Sure.
Until like March end. So that was basically the timeline.
Do you think that? I guess I'll be curious. I was gonna ask a leading question. I'll be curious. How do you think having kind of that? It's not a full time. I guess it was a full time contract. How did that impact the development of Lyca?
It made it a bit more difficult and stressful just
Yeah.
because I didn't have like all the time in the world to work on it. But I think Lyca is like so far out of all the projects that I've done, Lyca was definitely the easiest and smoothest to work on. So honestly, I don't think I can I can complain much because it ended up being just really fun to work on, and I
Yeah.
think I'm someone who really thrives on um, like when my games get validated, like when I see a bunch of like YouTubers playing the game, and I see my wishlist numbers like going up, and I see people enjoying the demo and stuff like that, like I get really motivated to keep working on it and
Yeah.
to pour more and more time into it. So I think that really helped.
It's fun to hear. Like we've had, we launched the demo for a game about feeding a black hole a couple weeks ago now, and it's doing very well. And watching YouTubers play it and hearing the fun in their voice, I'm like, what? It's such
Yeah,
a like.
it's crazy.
I'm like, it's like you like, and they get to the end of the demo and they're like kind of mad. They're like, I want to play more of this game. It's like,
Yeah.
it's such a, it is, yeah, it is a very validating feeling, especially. I'm sure you have plenty of games in your graveyard of games that were not fun and never got that validation, or maybe could have been fun, but at the time, X, Y, and Z circumstances.
Yeah.
As you look back at Lyca, how do you? Because now, I mean, it released in April. Sounds like you moved on to a new project at this point. How do you gauge the success or failures? How do you look back at that project now that you have some space from it?
So with Lyca, I think I look at it almost entirely positively. Like I don't have much negatives to take from that project, if I'm being honest. Like I don't know how I managed to, because I think the main thing that I'm proud of with the project is just that I was able to stick so closely with my schedule,
Yeah.
and which has just never happened before. I think, like, even when I talk to a bunch of my friends who are game developers, they are always kind of surprised when I tell them like, hey, like I was able to hit the release date I wanted.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
then also, like, I remember going to, because I live in London, so I went to like a game dev meetup in London a couple of weeks before the game released.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a few friends there, and they were asking me like, "Oh, hey, how's Lyca going? You know, you're getting close to release." And I was like, "Oh, the game is done. I'm just waiting for the release date now." And they were like, they couldn't understand how I managed to do that. But yeah, I think it was just like, I think that's the main thing that I'm proud of, and I want to try to replicate with my future projects, is to limit my scope, as much as possible, so that I can finish the game like on time and release it, because I just have not been able to do that with my previous games.
Yeah, it seems like you had a lot of constraints on time. Not only saying I have 5 months for funding, like that is a hard deadline. Like unless you all of a sudden start going gambling and trying to, taking whatever money you have and trying to gamble it away to like double your money, which I don't recommend anybody does. You have a hard deadline that's not changing, and you were doing contract work, and so that like that time and that deadline was even tighter, which.
Right.
I found like that helps the creativity, which you would think is the opposite. You'd be like, well, wouldn't more time let you be more creative? And I would say no for me. How do you feel about that time constraint? And that's, it helped you hit a deadline and stuff like that, but how did that help with your creativity or hurt your creativity, or kind of what did the time constraint do to your game dev process?
That's a good question, because I'm kind of conflicted about it. I think that I work really well when I feel like I'm not stressed. Like I feel like I don't have anything to worry about. Like right now, for example, I'm kind of brainstorming ideas for my next game, prototyping stuff, and I feel like my creativity is kind of at its max.
Cool.
But my efficiency is very, very low, because I barely get any like work done, because I don't have
feel
anything
that.
pushing me. Yeah, I don't have anything pushing me to work. But yeah, I think it probably works just differently for different kinds of people.
Yeah.
I think there are some people that really thrive under pressure,
Yeah.
and I think there are some who just thrive under like having um, like all kinds of freedom and time to think about things. So, like, I think I was listening to one of your podcasts
Yeah.
the other day, and um, I think did you mention something like, oh, when you play a game that is kind of like this sandbox game with no objectives, um, you kind of don't like that. You need like some kind of goal to work towards,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think it's the same thing, right? Like if there's some kind of people who love having that kind of sandbox of just unlimited options, unlimited time, you can do whatever you want,
Yeah.
and your creativity like thrives in that
Mhm.
that kind of space. But then there are others who are like, no, if you give me an objective, then that gets my like juices flowing. I can brainstorm better solutions. I can become really efficient and come up with a
Mhm.
very creative like solution to this problem. So
Yeah.
I think it depends on the person.
And
That's
it,
my
it
take
sounds
on
like it even depends on what your goals are for your project. Like your last project was this goal, tight time constraint. I have to make money. I have to do these things, and you were able to still be creative, but it with this like really narrow thing. But then you're also saying when you take that away, you also enjoy being less creative. So moving into what you're currently working on, what is your goal for this project? Because last project was very clear: get a game released by this date, and then choose everything that lets me do that within my time constraint. What is your goal for your next game, which I think you said is called Hear the Bell Toll?
So for Hear the Bell Toll, my goal was basically like a very similar goal to Lyca, where I want to give myself a few months and then just release the game and make uh like I had the concept in mind where I have this kind of roguelike city building structure,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to just make the best possible game I can within that time frame and just release it, because I think right now what I'm lacking is just a bunch of releases on my dev page. Like
Yeah.
I want to have I have very similar goals to you, I think. Like,
Yes.
I want to hit every single next fest.
It's very
I
interesting
wanna-
talking to you.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah. Like I want to have multiple releases
Yeah.
a year, and I want to hit every next fest, things like that. So
Why is that your goal? Why is that something that you've come to as the I guess the solution or the thing you're driving toward?
that's a good question. I think for me, so first of all, I still consider myself a kind of a beginner game dev. So I think that if I let the scope of the game get out of hand, like if I go beyond, let's say, like 8 months for a single project, then I can't really manage that kind of that size of a project by myself. Like I don't think that I can, like, let's say I come up with a really ambitious like RPG project or something. I don't think that I have the skills right now to be able to pull something like that off and make it good.
Yeah.
So I don't think that when I release a game, so how I think about games is that you need your game to be good if you want it to sell on Steam,
Yeah.
right? Like if your game is not good, chances are that it probably will not sell.
Yeah.
Of course, that's not the only criteria for whether a game sells or not, but I think it's kind of essential that your game is at least good and people like it. So yeah, I think just based on that one fact alone, I cannot make larger games because I don't think that I have the skills right now to make a large game that is good. So I
Yeah.
have to focus on small games. I think that's a constraint that I have to put on myself.
I like that. I'm coming from the same position where it's like not it's I'd be curious if you also feel this way because you're trying to be a full full-time developer. Like, I think if I removed that from the equation and I was simply a hobbyist dev with a full-time job, I would probably be making like a deck builder, like a roguelike deck builder that I'm just like kind of slowly cooking on and like spending, 3 to 5 years doing it part-time. But like, I think because I'm a business, there's this tension between me having to get better, me having to improve my skills, also having to make money, and understanding that like more games equals more like long tail of sales to help out in the long run. Is that a tension that you feel as well with kind of that? Because you also talked about like liking the creativity without constraints, but you put constraints on this new project as well. Is that because of the business side of it all?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that is the main difference, right? Like I've been full-time as a developer now for 3 years.
Wow.
So,
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, a little over 3 years. And then I've only had 2 game releases in that time.
Yeah.
The first one was not successful. And then I had a bunch of failed games after that, or like canceled projects.
Sure.
And then finally, Lyca was the one that kind of, now I have the funds to self-fund my next game. So I think I am so in some ways like damaged by my previous experiences that I'm like, no, I need to make sure that I'm able to fund my next project at least, right? Like if that's my goal,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I how much time do I have, until I run out of money from Lyca?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let's say I'll run out of that money in March or something. So I'm like, okay, I need to release the game before then so that I can have another kind of source of income. So that's kind of like a very short term way of looking at it, but that's kind of how I'm going about it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're absolutely right in that the more games you have, the longer tail of revenue you have. You have more games in your backlog that you're passively generating income from, things like that. And yeah, the issue though with me is that if I was, let's say, working a desk job, or like, because I'm actually a mechanical engineer
cool.
by education, but I honestly don't think I would enjoy working as an engineer in like an engineering firm, and I wouldn't enjoy having a job. Like I love being self-employed. I love having to answer only to myself and to make my own like schedule to work however I want to, and do what I want. So if that's kind of taken away from me, I think I would be miserable. So I'm also doing it out of necessity again, that I'm like, no, if I want to be able to work how I want to, and then if I want to maintain that lifestyle or that work lifestyle, then I need to make smaller games.
You got a taste of being the dog running through the meadow, and you don't want to stop running through the meadow. Lyca's a great analogy for your game development journey.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Maybe I subconsciously made a game like that just because, that was just the headspace I was in.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I'm interested to go back and talk about some of these, like, your first failed project and some of these, like, games that you canceled and stuff like that. Because on the one hand, you mentioned that they feel like these things that, like, scarred you. But I also feel like they could be these things that taught you some lessons in retrospect that, like, at least for me, I have the same graveyard full of projects, and I had to like try to do stuff that were too big for what I could do to learn this lesson of having, like, everyone says make small games, right? That's everyone online says that. That's like cliche game dev advice, but it is true. And I also had to go and make big games so I could learn that I have to do small games. As you look back at your projects, are there any lessons that kind of come to mind of things you learned, or, looking at some of those failures, things that, still hurt looking back at it? Kind of how do you look back at some of these projects?
So I think I started off in game development like a lot of other people do, where it was kind of just a hobby for me. So when I was in college, during COVID is when I picked it up.
Yeah.
And
Same.
yeah,
Are we the same person? You're just in London?
we might be, honestly, yeah. But yeah, I kind of just started um, a little like Zelda fan project as a hobby,
Yeah.
and then just worked on it in the evenings, like after school, and it slowly like grew in scope and just slowly kind of became its own thing. And I was like, hey, I kind of want to try making this into a full game, and so I started doing that, and then I had no idea how to make a game at that point, right? Like I was learning how to use game engines while making this game, and then I was also like trying to figure out how the artwork would work, and then
Yeah.
how I'm supposed to like make this game and everything. And then eventually, after like a couple of years of working on it just in my free time, um, I kind of revealed it, and then had like a publisher approach me, and then I eventually got like a publishing deal for the game,
Wow.
and they were willing to fund the development for a year.
Okay.
So, and this was like right as I was graduating from school. So
Wow.
yeah. So I was like, this is kind of a no-brainer. I don't want.
Were you
to work as
ever a
an
mechanical engineer then?
No. Like right after school, I just went full-time indie because I had the funds for like a year,
What?
and then yeah, it was a crazy kind of turn of events, and then yeah, I kind of just jumped into it because I was like, this is now or never. Like I'm not gonna get this kind of a chance again. I
Yeah.
was kind of riding the high of like the COVID. Yeah, so during COVID, there were a lot of like publishers just throwing money at developers, and I was one of those. So I got lucky, I want to say, because the game ended up not being that good. I don't, if I'm being completely honest, I don't think it was ever really that good,
Sure.
but it was my dream, like passion project,
Yeah.
right? So it was way over scope, like way too ambitious for a guy to pull off as his first game. But yeah, I got the funding for it, hired like artists and a composer, and
Wow.
yeah, we worked on it for a year. There were several issues, especially close to the end of development, because the game was just too ambitious. I think I just could not finish everything in the game on time, and
Sure.
then we had to delay it like right before the release, and then
Yeah.
eventually we kind of just released it in whatever state was in, and it didn't sell much at all.
Sure.
But yeah, I think the main learning experience from that for me was just scope.
Sure.
I think I think I overestimated what I could pull off,
Yeah.
honestly, because I was like, oh, if I'm not really good right now, but if you give me a year,
I'll be so much better.
Yeah, I'll figure it out, But but I don't think it works like that.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, I think
It
right
does
now
work
I'm
like that, but the stuff you make in between the beginning and that year has to then maybe be improved upon, and that's that iterative loop.
Right. So I think right now I've kind of gone the opposite way, where I really like underestimate what I can pull off, and then I give myself a lot more time than what is actually needed
Yeah.
to pull something off, or I cut things from the game that I think that I even have like a slight doubt. I'm like, is this gonna be a bit harder for me? Like, am I gonna be able to pull this off? If I even have that doubt, I probably just don't put it in the game.
Yeah.
And that's working out for me pretty well, because everything seems super easy now
Yeah.
to make. Yeah.
That's an interesting way of doing it, and I feel like I've done some of the same sort of things with Thrown Idea. We're like, that's a cool idea. We have a list that's like on our to-do list, and it's just like lower and says like scope creep list. And to be honest, you could also just call that the trash can list. Like, nothing in that list is ever going to get done. But we write it down there because we're like, cool, good idea. Maybe we'll do it later, and we don't ever do it later. It's the noble lie we tell ourselves. That's incredible as your first game experience, because I hear that story, and you say your biggest lesson is scope creep and how to, maybe pull back your ideas and throw stuff away. But look how much, as far as experience goes, that you got from that. You worked with a publisher, you hired people, you hired a composer, an artist, and you designed those things. You had to communicate with those people what you're looking to do. Like, you had to... You got experience delaying a game and doing community management of delaying a game. Like, you don't want to have that experience, but that's good experience to have.
Yeah. One more big experience I had was that was also a failed Kickstarter project. So
and you did Kickstarter? That's awesome.
Yeah, but it wasn't successful.
Sure.
But I at least have the experience of knowing what the process is like.
Yeah, and maybe if you ever do a Kickstarter again, how you might do it differently, which is, I think one of the biggest things of looking at failed projects that I have in my history is I maybe didn't get that game off the ground and it was canceled or something like that, but I look at the games I make now, and a lot of the systems are systems directly just ripped out of those projects. Just code copy and pasted, and then maybe slightly adjusted to match the new system or the new thing I want to do in this new project. Do you have that as well with kind of this? I always think that game development is like leveling up. You're a character. You're trying to level up. Do you feel that way too? With okay, now I know how to do a tech tree. So I can just take all that code to do tech tree and throw it in the new project.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think I have a database now of a bunch of scripts, right? That I can if I want to make a let's say a camera system, I just have to copy and paste it from a different project. Or just a movement code. I have so many projects.
Yeah, movement code. Follow the dog around. You have camera shake. I saw in there. You have some subtle effects and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I have just so many things that I can just use to put together a quick prototype or demo so quickly, within a day or two.
Yeah.
That it just makes it so much easier because I don't have to do those things from scratch again.
Yeah.
But just quick question: What engine are you using?
I use Godot.
Godot. Okay.
Yeah, I'm on the current version. I think what's it 4.5?
Okay.
How about you?
Cool. So I have used Godot before as well as Unity, but Lyca was made in GameMaker.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I am using GameMaker for my next couple of projects as well because
Why is that?
I just have. I think it's because of my database of scripts.
Yep.
It's just I have too many. It's too easy and quick right now to build my games in GameMaker than any other engine. So yeah,
it's lowering that unknown amount, because if you're looking at estimation and stuff, and that's a big thing in corporate IT is where I kind of started my career at doing Salesforce stuff, and we're estimating how long it takes to do work. One of the biggest multipliers of time is unknown and uncertainty. And I think that's with this trying to hit these next fests, it's the uncertainty has to be so low in order to do those things. And you said that earlier, which really hit home with me, of if I doubt the feature, if I can pull it off, it's gone. And that's the same sort of thing I'm doing. I'm if I don't immediately know how to implement it, or believe I could figure it out in a reasonable amount of time, it just gets cut for time so quickly. Yeah. And so using GameMaker for you is that lowering that uncertainty, and same thing with I'm only going to be doing 2D games at least for the next couple of Next Fest. I want to do 3D at some point, but I know how to do 2D. There's uncertainty in 3D, so I'm just not going to do it right now because I'm trying to run a business, and it's cool. Do you like GameMaker? Is that something you're happy with, or would you want to change it if you had the time?
I love GameMaker, so I honestly would, if I could just continue with GameMaker for the rest of my game dev career, I probably would. It's just, I think GameMaker is if you want to do 3D games, you probably won't use GameMaker. So
Sure.
Yeah, so if I ever eventually want to go into 3D, then I will shift it probably Godot, because Godot is out of all the engines I've tried, I think I like Godot the best to work in. I'm using GameMaker right now for convenience more than anything else.
You have the experience.
Just yeah, I just have the experience. It's just quick. I have a bunch of scripts ready to go. So yeah, Game Maker right now is just and for as far as 2D games go, it is so quick. Game Maker is so fast to just make prototypes, to scale up those prototypes.
Yeah.
And yeah, it basically anything that I want in the game, Game Maker can handle that.
Sure.
So there's no reason right now for me to switch.
Yeah, and you know how to do it.
Yeah.
Like, even, let's assume you can take those scripts and you can basically one-to-one convert them into GDScript or C#, whatever you end up doing. Like, let's say you can do that, and that doesn't take that much time, whatever. You still becoming familiar with the engine, maybe it adds 20% or 25% or 50% more time to your demo, or to making the demo, to making the prototype, to finishing the game. All of a sudden that goes from a 4 to 5 month project to an 8 to 9 month project. Like that. And you can't do that when the Next Fest is coming up next week. You know, like it the time constraint, I cannot get this across enough of how helpful it is as far as making decisions about what to do. When you have an open meadow in front of you, where do you run? It's so hard. But when there's a little sunflower in front of you that has a little resource on it, all of a sudden the decision making is easy. I go to the sunflower because that's where I'm going. And like, that's for me, time constraint is that sunflower.
Right.
And it sounds like you're in that same sort of headspace with it, like helping out.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I think you nailed it. I think it's just, because with Game Maker, I've made so many game jam projects, right? That like getting a game off the ground, like getting a prototype ready in a couple of days is just so easy and so quick for me. I'm so used to doing that.
Yeah.
That,
just scrapping it together with
like,
duct tape
like,
and
like when I get an idea in my head, I just immediately, like, without even thinking, I just fire up Game Maker. That's like the first thing I do.
Yeah.
So I just it's kind of a no-brainer for me at this point. Yeah.
There's this really fun moment when you become comfortable with the tool, and I think it was for the GMTK 2020 Game Jam, or 2022, is my first into full-time game dev, where I was, like, immersed in Godot. And I remember pulling open Godot and kind of just grabbing stuff, and that like really feeling like I'm just running and kind of pulling stuff together to make it work. It's a very good feeling to have that kind of like mastery of the system.
Yeah. It feels really good.
Yeah. So with Hear the Bell Toll, you have the same sort of idea as far as like time constraint, but you're not making, this doesn't look like it's a incremental game in the same way. No. So where did the idea for this game come from?
Oh man, I'm trying to remember where the idea came from, because I think it's just one of those. So I keep a spreadsheet of game ideas, and I have like, I want to say like 50 or more game ideas in there right now. So I don't know I don't know where a lot of them come from, or like when, like it's I'm struggling to remember where this one came from, but I think it was mainly inspired by this game called SNKRX, or like Snake RX, which is this auto chess style game. So
yes,
it's just like auto chess style roguelike, and I was just thinking of like, hey, this structure of a game is really nice, and streamers love it. I love playing it. It seems doable for someone like me. So again, like, you know how Nodebuster was kind of the inspiration, where I was like, oh, this seems like something I might be able to do. Yep. SNKRX was another one of those, and I was like,
I can make that game. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I can make something like this. So I came up with just like this city building theme, instead of it being like this action like auto battler.
Yeah.
But the structure is very similar, where basically you have this like auto chess style shop and class synergies, and you're trying to reach a score, and then Yeah, if you hit the score, you go to the next tier. If you don't, you lose. It's just like a simple,
Very simple
game
like win
that.
or lose condition. I like that.
Yeah.
The art style looks awesome too.
Thank you. Thanks.
Absolutely awesome. So with this game, you're trying to get it ready for the next fest right now, and this is like on Monday, right?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
So the demo is out
Okay.
already. So it will be part of the
So
next
regardless,
fest,
the demo is there at least.
yeah,
How do you feel about the
is
demo?
there. I'm feeling okay about it. It's not as smooth or as engaging, I think, for players as I was hoping. So I'm trying to get it better basically over this week and this weekend until next fest. So I think the main issue with it right now is the tutorials.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm not very good at tutorials.
I hate making tutorials.
Yeah, it's the hardest part for me.
Because we understand the games completely, right? You
Yeah.
know exactly, literally exactly how it works, and then to have to like take your brain out and be like, how would somebody else see this? You're like, well, in my head, that button, you click that button to do the thing. That's clear. But like to somebody else, it's not clear. That's such a hard thing to figure out.
It is pretty hard because the issue I was having is that people were skipping the tutorial like all the time, and then they get confused when they start playing the game.
Like, no, I teach it to you. Come on.
So in all of the feedback that I was getting comments about like, hey, like, I don't understand how this works, or what is this thing, or why did I lose? Like, how do I go to the next tier? And I was like, it's right at the start in the tutorial. But then I think the issue was that I front loaded a lot of the information in the tutorial, and so I'm trying to like spread it out.
Sure.
Kind of explain it step by step,
Like
things
when
like
it contextually when it makes sense to teach them the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that is like the main change I'm making in the demo right now, and then a few other like quality of life things, polishing, balancing, just getting it as good as possible until the next fest.
This game, having not played the demo or anything like that, it looks way more complicated than Lyca. How has that been as far as like trying to also fit in this game into that kind of similar time frame of development?
So the way I kind of went about it is that Lyca took me 4.5 months of part-time development.
Oh, sure. Right, you had the contract work.
Yeah. And so here at the Beltol, I was like, I'm going to give myself 7 or 8 months of full-time development. So it's a significantly more number of hours that I have for this game. So I think I was a bit more ambitious with it in terms of its complexity and scope.
Sure.
But again, I'm really in the middle of questioning whether that was the right call or not, because I started working on Here the Beltol in May.
Yeah.
Or like May 1st, I think, was when I started working on it. And
Sure, so you, like April was like post-launch, getting that shader to work, performance stuff, and then you switched into...
Yeah. And then I took like a little break for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Sorry, just 1 second. Sorry about that.
Is that the phone or is something on fire?
Yeah. It is the...
Something might be on fire.
Yeah. No, it's actually the buzzer.
Oh, sure. Someone wants to come in.
Yeah, someone wants to come in. But yeah, it's... kind of lost my train of thought. But
we're talking about complexity and the timing. So in May you started working on Hear the Bell Toll.
That's right. So Here the Beltol, originally my plan was that I'm gonna make like 3 incremental games this year. So I was gonna hit all of the next fest. Like I was gonna hit February, June, and October.
Yeah.
And then it was May 1st, and I was like, okay, so the June next fest is in a month. And am I going to be able to like get together a demo? And then even if I do, is it worth going for the June next fest? Because it's like I won't have many wish lists going into the next fest.
Yeah.
And from what this could be wrong. I don't think this is like a proven thing yet, but if you have more wish lists going into the next fest, generally your demo will do better in the next fest. So I was like, it's too tight, I think, for me to pull off for the June next fest. So I decided that, hey, if I'm going for the October next fest anyway, I might as well go for this slightly more ambitious project. I have the leeway to be able to do that. Like, I can afford to do it because Lyca overperformed. So
yeah, you earned the income to basically take a little bit bigger of a bite.
Right.
And you're questioning if you bit off too much.
I am because it is a much harder game to make for me. I think, again, this was something that you said in one of your podcasts, but you said that you are really good at balancing like progression curves instead of difficulty curves.
At least Thornady, as I've been working with him to do a game about feeding a black hole, and he's been great at doing that as well. I appreciate a balancing curve, a progression curve far more than a difficulty curve.
Yeah. I think I'm the same way because the Here the Bell Toll is a roguelike, so it's all about difficulty curve.
It's everything.
And
if it's too hard,
it hard,
sucks.
Man.
If it's too easy, it also sucks. Like, it's too easy, and it's like, well, what's the point of anything? And too hard, you're like, well, I can't even beat the game.
Yeah, I'm having the issue that the game is both right now. Like, half of the players are saying that it's too hard because they are not understanding how the game works at the beginning.
At a baseline, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, and then the other half who immediately understand what the game is, they find it too easy. So I'm really kind of struggling to balance the difficulty curve of the game.
The only thing I've learned from because like Chess Survivors and Hexagon are both roguelikes, and the only thing I've learned from both of those is to have an ascension mode. That tier, you know what I'm talking about, like the 10 levels of difficulty or 20, whatever it is, from Slay the Spire, like doing something like that lets players then breeze past level 1 through 5 if they understand the game, and then they can find eventually where they get that challenge in there.
Right.
That's probably my only piece of advice. Otherwise, it's like play test and have other people play it, and like you can do data-driven stuff too, right? That's I think a helpful thing that a lot of roguelikes will do. And Slay the Spire did, where they're getting data to understand how to balance stuff, or like understand a little bit more about how to balance things. So that's definitely something where I want to make roguelikes. I like making roguelikes. I like playing them, but I know that is something that is really hard for me that I haven't quite figured out how to do.
Yeah. I think I'm the same way. I think I didn't realize how difficult it's going to be. At least compared to like incremental games, which I wouldn't say are like easy to balance and pull off, but they are more intuitive for me, at least.
Why is it more intuitive for you?
I think they're easier to test. So when you're like playing the game, you immediately get a sense of whether the pacing is smooth, whether the upgrades are coming in at a good pace, things like that.
Yep.
But difficulty is something that, as someone who is making the game and knows like you said, who knows every aspect of the game and how it works, I'm not able to judge very easily whether the game is too easy or too hard.
Yeah. I've also found it's really hard to break your own game. Like to find, because like you can be like, oh, well, this is balanced based off of how I'm playing it, but then someone finds some broken combo. Yeah. And broken combos are fun in those games too, but like if it's too easy to set up the broken combo, then it's not, then that's just what they do every run. And so it's like, right. I've always found it's really, really hard to like become a degenerate gamer and do the degenerate strategies when I'm like, well, I'm intending you to do these things. That's how I'm playing the game. But then you see someone else play and you're like, oh yeah, I can see how that's broken. Okay, cool. Like, is that good broken, bad broken? Where like, with a incremental game, you can literally start a timer and say, how long does it take me to get to my first prestige? oh, that's
Right.
20 minutes. Am I happy with that, or should it be 15? If I want to be 15, how do I bring the cost down to make it so they get to 15 minutes for that first prestige moment?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how I do it. Is
Yeah.
just set a timer. Yeah.
And
Or watch. Even better is like, if you have a bunch of streamers or content creators playing your game, you can watch them play it because you don't like. I might be slightly faster than someone who's never played the game before because I know the
Yeah.
optimum way to pick the upgrades and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But for someone who's playing the game for the first time, like how long does it take, to
Do they get bored
Get
at a
the
certain
first-
point? Why do they feel
Yeah.
bored? What is, kind of
Exactly.
like looking at that to say, okay, is there something I could do at this moment to like breeze past that boring moment so they can get to the, the sunflower sooner?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think, so you're working on your roguelike right now, Hear the Bell Toll. Do you think you'll make, for the next game, do you think you'll do an incremental game again? Are you going to do something different? Kind of where are you, looking at the future, how are you feeling about it? Where do you want to go with your list of 50 games that you got?
So, I'm not gonna lie. I think out of the 50 games, like half of them are probably incrementals.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think the next one, and probably even the one after that, are going to be incrementals.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that I'm strongly considering like specializing in a genre.
Sure.
And getting really good at it. Because if I keep like flip flopping between different genres, like it's hard to it's hard to pull anything off in your first attempt, right? Like in my first attempt at making a roguelike game, it's gonna be really hard to make a really good one.
Yeah.
Or in my first attempt at making like an RPG, it's gonna be really hard to pull off. So, yeah, incremental games, they are shorter to do. I've already made one,
Mm-hmm.
so I have kind of a general idea of what I can do for
Sure.
the next one, and how I can make it better. So I definitely think that I can make a much better game
Yeah.
for my next incremental compared to Lyca.
Why incremental games are you interested in specializing in that genre?
That's a good question. I think there's a few reasons, right? Like the first one is, of course, that I have kind of a head start already.
Yeah.
I already have made one, so
And a successful one.
yeah, like it's generally been like it performed much better than I expected it to. So immediately I think my brain just went like, oh, if I was able to do this once, maybe I can do it again, or maybe
Sure.
I can do an even better one next time.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's realistic or not. Like if I'll actually be able to replicate the success of Lyca, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I think I'm in a position where the chances are much higher compared to other genres.
Or like maybe the risk of failure is also lower. Like you
Yeah.
maybe raised a floor of kind of fundamentally understanding some things about the incremental space, so that if you're looking at spending 5 months doing it, the risk that you don't see at least break even on that time starts to like go down as your experience goes up.
Yeah. So I've worked on like a bunch of different genres of games, right? I've worked on like at this action RPG. I've worked on a survivors like. I've worked on like this a 2D stealth game, an incremental. I'm working on a roguelike now. So honestly, I think that I want to go with incremental again because it was the most fun I had working on a game.
Yeah.
It's just super smooth. It's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like I know what I'm doing compared to the other genres where I'm just kind of winging it.
Sure.
So, yeah, I think that's a big factor as well. I think, when I already kind of talked about this a bit, but my opinion is that if you want your game to succeed, it has to be good.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, if the game has to be good, then a good requirement is that you need to enjoy making the game. If you don't enjoy making the game, or if you are not having fun making the game, you probably go either on autopilot or you like tune out or something, and you end up making a pretty like mediocre project. So
and people will feel that in the decisions you make and the ways you do things. They'll feel just a little bit lack of caring in some of the thoughts and decisions.
Right.
And
yeah, I don't know if that's true for everyone, but at least I've noticed that about me.
I feel that.
Yeah, the games that I really enjoy making are the ones that end up being good.
Yeah.
And the games that I get burnt out working on, or I don't enjoy working on, they don't end up being very good, like quality-wise.
Yeah. Or you lose interest, or you know, X, Y, and Z, and it becomes a canceled project or something like that.
Yeah.
Interesting. I also, one of the other things I want to mention that I think is cool about doing incremental is that, and I'm curious to know your thoughts on it, with like an incremental game, people play them, especially these micro incremental games, they play it 3 hours, beat it, never touch it again. And then another one comes out, and they'll play that one 3 hours, beat it, never. And like, they're constantly kind of looking for these new novel experiences. In my head, it's very similar to the puzzle game genre, where like people love puzzle games, and once you beat a puzzle game, you can't really replay a puzzle game. You don't have that same like aha moment of figuring out how it works because you've already had that, and so you could maybe do it, but it's not really. I feel like it's not something you really do replay. Where like a roguelike, by their nature, these are like replayability engines, and so with building roguelikes, you're competing with Slay the Spire, you're competing with Balatro, you're competing with all of these really great roguelikes out there that people still do replay. I've been playing Slay the Spire for the past 5 or 6 years, and I come back to it constantly. I haven't
play Balatro like every day.
Exactly, right? Like, and so, how do you feel about that? Because that's something that attracts me to the incremental game space. Is like, oh, I'm not necessarily competing with Norp. Like, Norp is helping build this category up, but I'm not necessarily directly competing with Norp or Keep on Mining or even Lyca, right? Like, people will beat Lyca, and then, you know, they'll go find the next incremental game to play. How do you feel about kind of that as far as that replayability and like, not necessarily competing, but just like, you know, comparing it to roguelikes as a genre?
I think I agree with you. I think that, so even within incremental games, there are like different kinds, right? Like you have your like really long form ones, like, I don't know, Unnamed Space Idol or Melvor Idol or whatever.
Sure, you have to put thousands of hours in a Melvor Idol.
That you can just play for hundreds or thousands
almost a
of
different
hours.
category of game, right?
Yeah. So those are the ones where I'm like, okay, I don't know if I can get into that space because I'll be competing with the biggest like hits in that space.
Why don't I just play Melvor right now? If you're making if you're making something similar to Melvor, they'd be like, why don't I just play Melvor instead? Exactly.
Like, I think some of the negative reviews I got on Lyca say something like, hey, this is like Nodebuster but worse or something, you know? So but at least they will buy and play the game because they're like, this is like Nodebuster, probably not as good, but I'll still play it because I've beaten Nodebuster and I want something else like it.
They want that new novel experience of like that moment where you click on a node and then 3 more nodes in the tree pop up and you look at them to see what is in my horizon. That novelty, I think, is what I at least crave from some of these games. And like, once you know what the tree looks like, it kind of, you could go back and speedrun the game if you want, but like, people look for that new novelty.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that is something that is pretty valuable right now because like when I make a game like Nodebuster, I'm not too worried that that I'm competing with Nodebuster, but rather I'm encouraged because I know that there are so many players who played and love Nodebuster.
Yeah.
So they
Like at 1% of them, it's still good.
Yeah, yeah. Like some of them would want to play my game.
Yeah.
You know. So like my next incremental game, I'm taking a lot of inspiration from like Tower Wizard, which is probably my favorite incremental right now.
Nice.
So yeah, so I'm not really worried about competing with Tower Wizard. In fact, I'm a lot more inclined to kind of like make something similar to it and take inspiration from it because I know that there are people who are craving more games like it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense. We'll go on to the kind of speed round of some fun little questions for the last little bit here. What's the best advice that you've gotten that you've actually used? Doesn't have to be game dev, can be life, whatever, you know, it can be game dev. But some advice that you've gotten that you've actually used.
Man. I think most of the best advice I've gotten is from Chris Zukowski.
Yeah.
So I think I was on a very misguided like trajectory of indie game dev, I think before last year.
Okay.
So I think just knowing like, hey, which genres do well, you know, on Steam, and what should I be doing? What should I be targeting? How do I go about like actually spreading the word about my game? You know, I need to reach out to these streamers. I need to participate in these festivals. You know, I cannot just keep tweeting about my game
Sure.
and hoping that it would like take off or go viral or something. So I think that it's frustrating because it's obvious when you think about it, but for some reason I was one of those people who was just trapped in that cycle of like not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
And I think just having those guidelines and those like action points that Chris gives is really, really useful. One thing that I will say for my game that really helped is just knowing how important tags are on your Steam page. Because Steam's entire algorithm is based on recommending your game to people who love similar games.
Yeah. I use Lyca to gauge. It's one of the 3 games I picked for
nice.
a game about feeding a black hole, so I copied some of your tags.
Awesome, yeah. You didn't copy them all, that's all good. But yeah, because I copied tags from games like Nodebuster and Digxium and like Chillquarium, you know, other incremental games. So, and that helped a lot because I get a lot of traffic from players who are actually interested in my game.
Okay.
So for other, like for games where your tags are incorrect, you know, when Steam shows your game in the discovery queue or something like that, it will pick what users to show your game to based on your tags.
Mm-hmm.
So if your tags are not correct, it is going to show your game to players who are probably not interested in your games. Like if someone shows Lyca to someone who only plays first-person shooters or who only plays horror games or something, they are going to skip so quick. Whereas if you show the game to other incremental game players, they are immediately going to like be incentivized to buy it or to add it to their wish list or whatever. So your tags are super important, and I think that is something that everyone, like a lot of new developers, neglect.
Yeah. So when you're doing your tags, you pick kind of 3 or 4 games that you're interested in that you think players who play those games would also play your game, and then you kind of look at all, because you can look at all the tags from a game, they're publicly there, and you kind of just look at that to find which ones to kind of rank higher or lower. Is that kind of how it goes?
Pretty much, yeah. I think I pick like 3 or 4 games that are the most similar to the game that I'm making, which are also successful.
Yes, yeah. Don't pick ones that have 10 reviews.
yeah. So I pick ones that are already pretty successful.
Yeah.
And my goal is that when someone clicks on one of those games, my game needs to be in the more like this section.
Yep. Yeah.
So the closer your tags are to that game, the higher the chances that your game is going to be in the more like this section. And that applies to all parts of Steam, like whether it's the discovery queue, more like this, so things like that. So
that's good advice.
That's how I go about it.
What is the first game you made or remember making? Your very first game?
So the first game I made was that hobby, like Zelda game I talked about.
That is so crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that it's called the Golden Knight Ghosts.
Yeah. Cool.
I did release a few like game jam games before I released that one, but that was my first like commercial release.
Yeah. I'm even looking like, what is your first not commercial game? What was the first project or first thing you made?
Oh man, I honestly don't know. I'm gonna have to go to my like itch.io page and look it up, but it's probably like a GMTK game jam game or something like that.
Just something thrown together in a weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. Last question here. How do you manage scope creep? What are your strategies? We talked a little bit about it here and there, but kind of had to put it a little bit of like, what is your scope creep strategy?
So my strategy is basically like, oh man, I don't know if I have like a hard strategy, but what I try to do is make a dev timeline. And because I have set these goals for myself, right? Like I have a goal that I want to release 3 games in a year, or I want to hit every single Next Fest. I think that automatically helps me kind of make decisions.
Sure.
So for example, for my next game, if I'm going to hit February Next Fest, I'm like, hey, in this demo, like let's say if the February Next Fest is, I don't know exactly when it starts, but let's say it's like 15 Feb or something.
Something like that.
And then let's say I want to release my demo a couple of months before that. So let's say December 15th or something. Then I can kind of reverse engineer what I can put into that demo, right? Like I can decide like, hey, I have 3 months until the demo, or 2 months or whatever, and how much can I what can I make that is feasible within this time frame, because I've kind of hard deadlines for myself. If I don't manage to put to release the demo on time, I'll miss the next fest, which means that I'll have to go for the one after that, which is 3 months later, and that's too far.
It kind of ruins the whole business plan.
So that's definitely, I think the reverse engineering is how I kind of go about it.
Having a firm deadline in place that you want to hit, a good goal for the game, and then figuring out what the game can be that fits those constraints.
I also kind of manage it by really knowing what my limits are as a game developer. I think most people kind of struggle with it because, okay, of course I can't speak for everyone, but I think I used to struggle with it. Just knowing what I'm capable of, and what is feasible for me to pull off within a certain amount of time.
Right. Which only comes from making a bunch of failed projects, basically. Like that experience is really helpful to then say, well, when I did procedure generation before, that actually took me, I thought it'd take a week, it took a month or something like that, right?
Yeah. Or just knowing like, hey, actually the options menu is going to take you like 4 days. You cannot do it in 1 day. Or just knowing that, hey, localization is going to take you a week.
Right.
Like it's not easy. It's not a quick thing.
And it's so boring.
Yeah, it's super tedious, super boring. So just knowing these things is going to help you plan the timeline better. So I guess it just comes with a bit of experience.
Absolutely. Well, cool. This was a blast. It was fun to, I guess, like get to meet you and realize how similar our current approaches to game development are as a business and individuals, and I'm excited to check out the demo for Hear the Bell Toll and finish playing Lyca, because I'm only an hour into the game, and I'm definitely interested in keeping going there. So,
Yeah,
thanks for coming on the podcast.
super-
This was a blast.
Yeah, thank you. I really enjoyed talking as well, and I'm super excited for a game about feeding a black hole because I'm not someone who plays demos. I
Yeah.
kind of wait for the full release, but
Perfect.
it's definitely a game I'm trying day one.
Sounds good.
And yeah, it's been popping off in my YouTube feed.
Oh, it
everywhere,
is so crazy to see people playing
Yeah.
on YouTube. It is a wild experience. Like I'm Kate or whatever has like almost over a quarter million people. Like that's crazy.
That's amazing.
So many people.
That's awesome.
It's so cool. Alrighty, thank you very much. I'll have you back on at some point next year to see how the next fest grind is going, because I'm definitely interested to see what lessons I can glean from your experience. So, thank you again.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck with your games.
Thank you.
And thanks for having me on. Yeah.
What a fabulous conversation. Like I said at the intro, just something all of a sudden we just clicked and we're on the same wavelength. Make sure you go check out Lyca over on Steam. There'll be a link down below and up above for that as well. And go check out the new demo for Hear the Bell Tool, giving them some feedback on maybe the tutorialization of the game and stuff that they are looking for feedback on, because before you know it, this game's going to come out and they're going to be getting it ready to go for the next fest, which is really exciting. Thank you again, Shaun, for being on the podcast. It was delightful to talk to you. And I'm in the new place. This is the beginning of the new era. It's been emotionally challenging to be moving into an apartment from a house, but as of this video coming out, I think this will come out 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Today is Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. Friday morning at 9 a.m. my time. Basically, as this video goes out, they'll be signing the papers for the house, and I will no longer have that liability or hanging over my head as far as that goes. So I'm excited. I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well as well. And saying I'm doing well is kind of a lie. It's really moment to moment. Some moments it's hard. Some moments it's easy. But that's kind of how life has felt for me in general. That sometimes you're flying high, getting wish lists from a game about feeding a black hole, and other days you're just sitting in your couch kind of crying a little bit because life's changing in front of you, and just feeling the weight of that and trying to be okay with it all. So I hope you're doing well. If you made it this far in the podcast, make sure to leave a like and comment. And I don't care. Don't do any of that stuff. Do it. That's not what this podcast is about. I just appreciate you hanging out. I hope if you're on a long walk that you had a nice walk. And until next time, I've been Aramis. I'll see you next time. I said next time too many times there. Let's say it one more time. Next time. Bye-bye.